we finished yesterday after we explained the concept of Achris Hayomim. So we ended with need to explain the list of the events that the prophets, the Nevi'im, says going to happen at the end of days. I told you yesterday that we know that we already in this era called Achris Hayomim, because when we will see the list, we will see that some of the things just unfolding now, happening now. So those are the major events. I didn't cover everything, but the major thing. And I'll show you the list. You'll not be surprised. You will know all of them. You heard about them. But you do not know, or many people do not know what exactly that means. Okay? So in different places in the Tanakh, in the Nevi'im, in the entire Tanakh, Torah, Nevi'im, Uktuvim, those things mentioned as things that are going to happen at the end of days. Number one is Kibbutz Galuyot, gathering all the Jews from all the exiles, bring them technically to Eretz Yisrael. It's mentioned in the Torah already, in Parshas Nitzavim. V'shav Hashem Elokecha et shvutcha v'richamecha. Moshe Rabbeinu said that Hashem will bring everyone to Eretz Yisrael. Im yeh nidachacha b'ktzei hashamayim, even if you'll be very far away, Hashem will bring you to Eretz Yisrael. What we, or most of the people, do not know about Kibbutz Galuyos, that it has two parts. Part one will be a partial Kibbutz Galuyos, and the Nevi mentioned this, that it will be in two parts. The first one will be that from everywhere in the world where Jews are, will be people or representatives that will come to Eretz Yisrael first. Then will be the next one, the next part will be a complete, no one Jew, the Nevi'im said that clearly, no one Jew will remain outside of Eretz Yisrael. But that will be part two. What will be between those two parts? Now, part one, we seeing that happening in the last 100 years. It's happening, which is an amazing thing. Even we was born to it, we got used to it, but think about it, it's really fascinating. We were in exile 1,800 years. 1,800 years. We were scattered all over the world. Eretz Yisrael, until 100, 130 years ago, even 100 years ago, was completely deserted. Completely deserted, was not a place to live in. And yet Jews, during this time of this 1,800 years, was davening every day and mentioned in Tfilat Shmoneh Esrei, Birkas Kibbutz Galuyot. תקע בשופר גדול לחירותנו, ברוך אתה השם המקבץ נדחי עמו ישראל. So we knew it. But you know, if you'll go back in the time, let's say 4 generations ago, each one of you, 4 or 5 generations ago, your grandparents was living somewhere in the world. Probably, in most cases, not in Eretz Yisrael. And they were davening that will be one day Kibbutz Galuyos. If you will tell them, you know what? Your grandson, your granddaughter, going to be born in Netanya, in Yerushalayim, in Tveria. I'm sure that the reaction will be a very big smile and happiness that this things that looks like dream, imaginary, you really believe it's going to happen? But you know, people have some doubts. I'll give you an example to understand it. One of the events that everyone knows, it's on the list, I'll share it to you later, but I want just to mention it in just to understand how amazing this thing is. One of the events that the Nevi'im speaks about is Binyan Bayis Shlishi, rebuilding of Beis HaMikdash in the third time, right? We all know, we sang it. Yibaneh Bet HaMikdash b'mei Rabbi Yameinu. Not just us saying that, our parents, our grandparents, Yibane Bet HaMikdash b'mehera b'yameinu. Now think about it. Today, if someone will tell you that Beis HaMikdash is going to be rebuilt within a year, it's crazy to think about it. Beis HaMikdash could not be built in anywhere, not in Lake George, not in New York, not even in Tel Aviv or in Haifa. There is only one specific place, Yerushalayim and Har HaBayit, right? To think practically, this is realistic? Within a year, in order to build Beis HaMikdash, we have to take out the building that exist now, right? If you think about the possibility, is that realistic? Yeah. In a price of starting World War III with the entire Muslim world, right? It seems completely out of, it's not realistic. The same way, 200 years ago, if Jews would be informed, listen, your grandchildren are going to be born in Yerushalayim, in Tel Aviv, in Haifa. Same unrealistic. More than that, go back in time, not 100 years ago, less. Let's say 82 years ago. The year now is 1942. Jews all over Europe was moving with trains to Auschwitz. I'm talking 42, before the Germans start to lose, right? It was working full force from their point of view, the Germans. Imagine two Jews standing down in Manhattan near the Empire State Building, and one asks the other, what do you think if I tell you that within 6 years from now, from 42, Jews will rebuild a state in Palestine, and we'll call it Israel State. Anyone who was ready to put $1 was a crazy gambler. Seems completely crazy. So take this in account when you think about everything that happened to us, everything that happened to us in the history was not expected, impossible, very, very short time before it happened. That's the way it was. So the more things sounds crazy, there is a good possibility that will happen. Okay, and after that, let's see the list. So the first thing that I mentioned here, it's not in the order, is kibbutz golios. Again, you talk about, in Yecheskel it says, in the Navi Yecheskel, Velo otir od mehem sham, will not be one Jew that will be out of Eretz Yisrael. Could you imagine that? I know two, at least, that will never go. But Hashem promised it will happen. Okay, the next big event that about kibbutz golios, everyone heard, right? The next one also. Oh, actually not. Hafrachat hashmama be'eretz Yisrael. Hashem promised in the Torah a few times that when he took the Jews out of Egypt, he said to Moshe Rabbeinu, tell them I'm gonna bring them to a very good land, good quality land, Eretz Zavat Chalav Udvash. It's mentioned a few times. Then in Parashat Atoichecha, in Parashat Bechukotai, and Parashat Ki Tavo, Hashem says, if you will sin and will not keep the Torah, I'm going to chase you out. I'll send you to exile, right? What's going to happen to the land of Israel when the Jews will not be on it? It says, and the Pasuk says, V'hashimoti ani et haaretz, ושממו עליה אויביכם היושבים בה, ואתכם הזרה בגויים. This place will be deserted. Now again, a good quality land will stay good, will not stop, has its quality, depend of who are the agricultures that trying to work on it, right? And that's what Hashem promised. And that's actually what happened. We know that Eretz Yisrael is in a very strategic place. It's in the junction between Europe, Asia, and Africa. Very strategic place. You know, any empire that want to rule over, and was empire, will make the center over there. It's easy. More than that, it's very holy to all the major religions in the world. So to promise that when the Jews will not be on it, it will be deserted, it's not really fitting what we expect. And yet, the history shows that that's what happened. After the destruction of the Second Temple, Eretz Yisrael became deserted slowly but surely, and it stayed like this until 100 years ago. So the thing is that in Yechezkel, in the Novi Yechezkel in Perek Lamed Vav, it says, when the Jews will come back at the end of days, the land will be re-flourish. And it happened. So this is the second thing. The third thing and the fourth thing is this. Eliyahu Hanavi. Eliyahu, the prophet Eliyahu, is very unique. He is the only one that stayed alive. All the Nevi'im, all the prophets died. Eliyahu Hanavi went, if you know, he went up with his body, never died. And it says in the Nevuah, in Nevuas Malachi, which is the last prophet, הנה אנוכי שולח לכם את אליה הנביא לפני בוא יום השם הגדול והנורא. Hashem promised that he will send Eliyahu Hanavi before the end of days to do what? Few jobs. Eliyahu has many jobs. Eliyahu Hanavi, he's busy. He's attending to every bris milah of every Jew during the history. There is a kiss of Eliyahu. We have a special chair for him, right? Eliyahu appear, I mentioned that yesterday, in the Bes Medrash of the Tanoim and Amoraim and teach them Torah, Tana Deve Eliyahu. But Eliyahu has another big job, two big ones, to Achris Hayomim. Many of the Jews has a minhag to sing in Motzei Shabbos about Eliyahu Hanavi. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Tishbi, b'mehera yavo elenu im Mashiach ben David. And this is something that is very important to explain. When Mashiach will come, how do we know that he is the Mashiach? And I'm not just asking that. We have a terrible experience during the history with fake Mashiach that came and say, I'm Mashiach, I'm Mashiach. So what is the process? How do we know what is the Mashiach? Who is the Mashiach? Always, I will take the precedents just to show it. The Mashiach himself, Mashiach meaning the person that Hashem will send as a redeemer of the Jewish people. All the redeemers in the past never knew themselves 1 second before that they are appointed to this job. The first Mashiach was Moshe Rabbeinu. Think about it. You know, if you take the thing that we know from the Torah and try to make it visual, picture it, it's amazing. I thought about this. You know, Moshe Rabbeinu was 80 years old, it says, when he was standing in front of Paro after Hashem sent him to Paro. The phenomena that he saw, the burning bush, was a month before. So could you imagine? Someone live in the world for 79 years. Sure, he knows, at the age of 16, you do not know exactly who you are. But at the age of 80, 79, you know who you are. So Moshe Rabbeinu was sure that until age of 79, he is a good shepherd. He never thought that he has another job, major job, for him and for the history and for the Jewish people. And then Hashem appeared to him that morning. When he woke up, he never dreamed that was going to happen. And Hashem told him, you think you know who you are? You're not another Moshe. You're Moshe Rabbeinu. So he never knew that until Hashem told him. Same thing happened with the first king, Shaul. Shaul was a good guy, 20 years old, who just made the mitzvah kibud avim. His father told him to look for the donkeys. He never thought. And then Hashem sent Shmuel and Hanovi and told him, Im katanata be'enecha, rosh shivtei Yisrael ata. You are the head of Israel. You are the king. You are the first king. He never knew that in the same morning. Same thing with David. David also was a shepherd like Moshe Rabbeinu. But he was even younger, not age 78. He was really young. And that's what you think he is. He never has a clue that he is the Mashiach. He is the Melech. Same thing going to happen with the Mashiach that Hashem going to send to us. He himself doesn't have a clue who he is until it will be revealed to him. So he has to know about it, and we need to know about it, that he is the real Mashiach. How are we going to know it? Same way, Shaul and David knew, and the Jewish nation knew, because of the prophet Shmuel, Hashem going to send the Navi to tell us. Who is the Navi? Eliyahu Navi. Bimhera yavo elenu im Mashiach ben David, and he will tell us. So of course you could ask, and how do we know that Eliyahu Navi is a Navi? The one who said, I'm Eliyahu Navi. So this thing that we'll leave for Hashem. The one who knows how to redeem the Jewish people, this is really small mission for him to make sure. But a Navi has to say to the Mashiach and to us that this Mashiach is Mashiach. The fourth thing over here is Mashiach. And over here also, some people knew about it or heard about it. Some people never heard about it. Even those who heard about it has a lot of confusion. What is this? There are two Mashiachim. There are two Mashiach. There are Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David. And all of this is a big thing to understand. Why do we need two? One is enough. And what is the meaning? Why Mashiach ben Yosef, Mashiach ben David? I'll say it in brief. Each one of those things deserve a long information that will take at least 1 hour to explain each one of those. I'll try to do it in brief. The concept of Mashiach ben Yosef, Mashiach ben David, this is a very deep thing. When Yaakov Avinu wanted to get married, he knew who he wants to marry. That was Rachel. Okay? His father-in-law tricked him, and he gave him Leah. And then Yaakov says, but I really want Rachel. So I married to Leah already. I want to marry Rachel too. So it was a whole process. Okay, he got married to both. But he was interested in Rachel. When his wife started to deliver babies, Leah was the first. And she had Reuven, Shimon, Levi, and Yehuda. And Rachel was Beryl at the time. She could not have children. And later on, Hashem gave her pregnancy, and she delivered Yosef. Yaakov was interested in Rachel and was interested in Yosef, And Yosef was his favorite son. In a way that the other brother, the tribes, was jealous of him, and you know the story. But Yosef was the purpose of his marriage to Rachel, from Yaakov's point of view. Hashem thought differently. He let Lavan trick him in order for him to marry Leah, in order for Yehuda to be born. And the jealousy was when Yosef, between the brothers, when Yosef claimed or sent a message through his dreams that he is the king. He is the king. They were really jealous, the other, because he was the youngest, and who are you to say, to claim that you are the king? In the head of the opposition to Yosef was Yehuda. Yehuda was the leader. So we find a conflict between Yehuda and Yosef about who is the king. Later on, with the story of Binyamin and going down to Mitzrayim, Yehuda took responsibility on Binyamin. And in Parshas Vayigash, we see that Vayigash Elov Yehuda. Yehuda went to Yosef when he doesn't know that it's his brother. On this says the Medrash, quoting the pasuk in Tehillim, Ki hinei melachim no'adu yachdav. This is the pasuk in Tehillim, Ki hinei melachim. Who's melachim? Who is the melachim? Yehuda and Yosef. It ended up that Yosef was a king. He was the first king in Egypt. He was actually deputy to the king, but if you look carefully in the psukim, you will see that Paro told him, אתה תהיה על ביתי ועל פיך אישה כל עמי, רק הכיסא אגדל ממך. You will be in charge for all the authorities of the king. I will just, my chair, my throne will be just a little bit higher than yours. אתה תהיה על ביתי, בלעדיך לא ירים איש את ידו ואת רגלו בארץ מצרים. No one could move his finger without your permission. Meaning, you are the actual king. I'm also a king, but I'll be above you. So he was a king. He was the first one to be a king. And his brother came to Mitzrayim and bowed down to him without knowing that he is their brother. So all his dream actually came true. But we know that the king should be from the sons of Leah. Why? There is a big story about this. Why? But Hashem made it that Yehuda will be the king. He was not a king, Yehuda. Vayered Yehuda me'et Echav. He was not the actual king. But if you look at the history, you will find out that Yoshua bin Nun, that was from the tribe of Ephraim, the son of Yosef, was the first leader to conquer Eretz Yisrael, and actually he was the leader from Yosef. David, 400 years after, became a king. By the way, it's a big story about why Shaul was a king. He was not from Yosef, he was from Binyamin, sons of Rachel. But he was the king first. I'll just hint to you. When Rachel delivered Yosef, she called him Yosef. And there is a reason why. It says, ותאמר רחל, אסף השם חרפתי, ותקרא את שמו יוסף. What do you mean, אסף השם חרפתי? Hashem took my shame away. Now I have a kid also. So what should be the name? Asaf. Asaf Hashem Chapati. This is the name, Asaf. Gathered, took away, Asaf. No, she called him Yosef. Why? It says, ותקרא את שמו יוסף לאמור, יוסף השם לי בן אחר. This will be only the beginning. I want another son. And she got. That was her another and last son. But the root of Binyamin was in Yosef already. When Yosef was delivered, she mentioned Binyamin. Yosef Hashem li ben acher. And it has to be this way that the first king will be from Binyamin, but anyways from the sons of Rachel. Of Rachel. And then came David, King David, which was from the descendants of Yehuda. Okay, so after David was the king, he was a king for all the tribes. And also his son Shlomo. In the third generation, it was the split. Right? When Yerovam ben Nevat, that was from Ephraim, again the son of Yosef, took the 10 tribes and divided them from the kingdom of Yehuda. And here we find again Rechavam, a son, Rechavam ben Shlomo, the son of Shlomo, from Shevet Yehuda, being a king of Shevet Yehuda and Binyamin that was around Jerusalem, and the 10 tribes separated and has their kingdom with the leadership of someone from the descendants of Yosef. Mamlechet Israel, the kingdom of Israel, the 10 tribes, existed approximately 240 years, alongside with Mamlechet Yehuda. Some of the time they were really enemies. They made wars between Mamlechet Yehuda and Mamlechet Israel. Sometimes they were cooperating. But then, because of the sins of Mamlechet Israel, the kingdom of Israel, Hashem sent them to exile. That's Galus Aseret HaShvatim. They went to exile, and no one knows who they are, and if they're going to return. There is a Machlokes Tanoim in Masechet Sanhedrin between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Eliezer, if at the end of days, they're going to come back or not. Rabbi Eliezer said, they will. Rabbi Akiva said, they will never come back. Okay. And elu ve'elu divrei Elokim chaim, and I have to explain this, but not now. Anyways, this is the source of the two kingdoms, from Yosef and from Yehuda. There is a nevuah in Sefer Yechezkel that at the end of days will be two leaders, one from Yosef, this is Mashiach ben Yosef, and one from Yehuda. And then at first they will appear as two, and the first one will be Mashiach ben Yosef, and then they will join together and they will agree that Mashiach ben David is the king and Mashiach ben Yosef is the deputy. There are many, many more details about this, but this is the story about the Mashiach. Mashiach ben Yosef, Mashiach ben David. So when technically what we're expecting Mashiach. Which Mashiach will be first? Mashiach ben Yosef. What's the job exactly of Mashiach ben Yosef before Mashiach ben David is also a lot of details. We'll not get to them now, but you have to know when we talk about the Mashiach, there are two. At the end, it will be one, but this is the process. And the Nevi'im speaks about this in many, many places. The next event is the war of Gog and Magog. Again, everyone heard about this, but no, not too many people know exactly what that means. In general, I will say that Milchemet Gog and Magog, according to what the Nevi'im describe, the Nevi'im describe that the Navi Zechariah said that at the end of days, Hashem will gather all the nations of the world. The Pasuk says, "Ve'asafti et kol hagoyim el Yerushalayim lamilchama." Will be a big war, actually the biggest war ever, because all the nations of the world will be involved. And this Milchemet Gog and Magog, where the war will be, in Yerushalayim. It says clearly, "Ve'asafti et kol hagoyim el Yerushalayim lamilchama." They're going to conduct a war against what? Listen, you know this? Second chapter of Tehillim. Lama ragshu goyim ulumim yehgu rik? Malchei eretz veroznim nitzavim al Hashem ve'al meshicho. They will come to conduct a war against the Mashiach. Which Mashiach? Mashiach ben Yosef. So will be a big war. Gog Magog, Gog is the name of the leader, Magog is the name of his country, but he will gather together a coalition of all the nations of the world. And that will be the biggest ever war, but that's going to be the last war. In this war, they will come with such a power that again, it could be, no one could think that they will not win. They will win easily. But what will happen is just the opposite. They're going to lose in a complete lose with Hashem interfering. It will not be a war of an army against army. We, the Jews that will be attacked, will not be involved in this war altogether. Hashem will conduct the war. I just will tell you, if you're interested on more details about this, I have a few versions of a series of shiurim on Milchemet Gog uMagog. It's between 3 or 4 sections, depending on the version, and 2 or 3 of them are in English. Not real English, my English, but you could understand from it. All the details. I'll just tell you in general what's going to happen, how the war of Gog uMagog going to end, with complete defeat of all the nations of the world. 3 parts. First of all will be an earthquake. Big earthquake. Huge earthquake. The hugest earthquake ever. The place will be Har HaZeitim b'Yerushalayim. Har HaZeitim, if you ever went to the Kotel, right? You go down from the Rova Yehudi LaKotel, you'll see the Kotel is in the left side and the big mountain in the right side. This is Har HaZeitim. This is the place that will be the earthquake, the center of the earthquake. It will cause the entire place, the entire Har to separate. The description is in Sefer Zechariah. And in this big earthquake, the vast majority of the big army of the nations that will come to Eretz Yisrael will be destroyed. They will die in this earthquake. This is the first part. Second part, those who will survive from the enemy army, from the army of the Goyim, of the nations, those who will survive will start to shoot each other, what we call friendly fire, because they will not know what's going on. From the confusion, they will start to shoot each other, and many of them are going to die in this second part. Those who will survive those two, the earthquake and the Milchemet Achim, the friendly fire, will get the last part, which is terrible. It says, Dever Magifa. Magifa is a plague. It will be a virus that Hashem will send, and they will be killed. And Geshem Shotef will be a rain of stones. Geshem Shotef v'avnei el gavish. Very strong stones that will go on them, and that will finish the entire army. And there will be a full defeat. No one could argue about this. Hashem will made all of this thing. It's not that we could protect ourselves. There is no chance. If all the armies of the world will come together, there is no chance. But that's what's going to happen. And this is the Milchemet Gog uMagog. After this war, which will be the biggest ever, was never in the history of the world was such a thing. But after this will be peace. Sorry about this gong. Will be a shalom olami. Velo yisa goy el goy cherev, velo yilmedu od milchama. Will be no more wars. Not just a slogan, it will be a reality. That will be the last war. After that will be no more wars, will be peace. Global peace. The next things, again, I'm not putting things in order, but it seems like it's very logical that it will go this way, but Hashem, His way has, I do not know how it will work. Now, 2 things will happen here. Chidush HaNevuah u'Vinyan Bet HaMikdash. Beis HaMikdash, the third Beis HaMikdash, the third temple, will be rebuilt in Yerushalayim. And we ask how? There is a mosque over there, right? The earthquake. The earthquake will take the mosque off, so it will be clear, and then will be Beis HaMikdash. It's connected to the renewing of the phenomena of prophecy, of prophets, because those goes together. I guess you know, מאז שחרב בית המקדש בטלה נבואה. Since the destruction of the first Beis HaMikdash, there is no more prophets. So the nevuah connected to the fact that there is Beis HaMikdash. And even though it was a second temple, and the second temple was not in the level of the first one, was 5 things that was missing in the second Beis HaMikdash that was in the first. One of them is nevuah. So the nevuah didn't come back when Ezra built the second Beis HaMikdash. The nevuah will come back when the third Beis HaMikdash will be rebuilt, because Beis HaMikdash is not just a building of stones. Beis HaMikdash is a level of Kedusha. This level of Kedusha made possible the channel of prophet to work. When Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, this level of Kedusha was destroyed, and the second Beis HaMikdash was not in the same level. Therefore, was no Nevi'im in Bais Sheni, and the Nevuah will come back in the third Beis HaMikdash. Who will be a prophet then? Everyone. V'nib'u b'neichem u'v'noteichem. Everyone. Everyone will be a Navi. Meaning, so we do not know what Nevuah is, that a whole story by itself. What is Nevuah? How Hashem speak to people? It's a big thing. It's a big thing by itself. It's not even one shiur. It will be a few shiurim to just explain this. The Rambam describes it in Hilchot Deot, in Sefer HaMada, and the Ramchal speaks about it a lot, and other sources where we have to learn this thing. But anyway, everyone will be Navi because everyone will be in very high spiritual level. The last 2 things that in all of this must fulfill before the end of the 6,000. That we have to know. And as you saw in the first one, it's not taking few minutes. The first one, we already 100 years in the process of Kibbutz Galias. So all of this should happen within the next 216 years. And we know it's going to happen. How do we know? We do not believe, we know. Because everything that was promised in the prophecy happened to the last details. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen. So the last 2 things before the end of the 6,000, very important. Again, I'm repeating this. Before the end of the 6,000 will be at the probably very end of it, 2 things. Tchias HaMeisim and Yom HaDin HaGadol VaHaNorah. Let me explain this a little bit. We sang every day, every day, at least 3 times in davening, in the second bracha of Shmoneh Esrei, V'ne'eman ata lehachayot meitim. Baruch ata Hashem mechaya meitim. You promise that you will revive the dead, and we know that you are trustworthy, ne'eman, and you will do it. Now, Tchias HaMeisim is the most craziest thing that anyone could think about. What do you mean that a person that died, and this person in the grave for 100 years, 1,000 years, or even just 10 years, if you open the grave, you will see that almost nothing left. Of course, after 100 years. The craziest thing is that we believe that the body will rebuild and the neshama that was in this body will go back to it. So according to the logic and the human experience, this is completely impossible. And from the rational point of view, at least of the Goyim, anyone who will believe this, is completely cuckoo. If you really believe, you're completely out of it. It doesn't make any sense. But we know, or we believe, this is one of the 13 principles. Any Jew who denies, accept everything in the 13 principle, but this, because it doesn't make sense to him, took himself out of Klal Yisrael and en lo chelek lo olam habo. He's a kofer. Tchias HaMeisim. Tchias HaMeisim is things that the Torah promised this, the Tanakh, the Nevi'im promised this in different places. And as I mentioned, we saying it, we declaring it 3 times a day at least. Even in Shabbos, even in Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, every davening. And that's going to happen before the end of the 6,000. Now, it's very interesting. I understood a bit from the brief that I got about what you learned this morning, that you spoke about Olam Hazeh, Olam Habo, Olam HaNeshomas, right? So I'll not repeat, I'll just tell you the following, very important things. What's the purpose? To revive the people who died. And by the way, who? Everyone will revive? Who will revive? Who will not revive? But what the purpose to revive before the end of the 6,000, when after the 6,000 everything is going to be destroyed? Right? So we have to understand the following. The Gemara asked this question. The Gemara in Sanhedrin asked, in Tchias HaMeisim, when Hashem revived the people who died and deserved to revive, what's going to happen when the 7 millennia will enter? So the Gemara said, so let me explain this a little bit. Remember what we saw yesterday from the Tana Devei Eliyahu? Shita alfe shnei ve'alma v'chad charuf. 6,000 years will be the world exists, and then in the 7 it will destroy. Let's add a little bit to it in order to understand. What do you mean destroyed? Again, the key is always the beginning. Everything is in the source. What was the beginning? Ma'aseh Bereshis. When Hashem created the world, it was in stages. Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Hashem, in the beginning, created 2 dimensions to the creation, a physical dimension that's called Aretz, and there is a reason why it's called Aretz. Aretz is not planet Earth. Aretz is the entire physical dimension in the entire universe. And Shamayim, which is the spiritual dimension. This is the first pasuk. Immediately after Hashem created this, what was the state of the Shamayim v'Aretz? Tohu vavohu. What's tohu vavohu? I mentioned that yesterday. Tohu vavohu is not chaos. Tohu vavohu is if was a person, was not, but if was a person, intelligent person, that tried to understand what actually happened. What is this thing that Hashem created? He could examine it, test it, try to understand it from all angles, and the bottom line will be, I do not know. I wonder. Tohu is tehiyah, wonder. What's vavohu? Says the Ramban. Vavohu is one word that has in it 2 words. Bo-hu. Within it, there is. What there is within it, within the tohu, bo-hu. Everything was created in the first day, but it was not in order. So, if you want to understand what is this, I do not have to add thing to what there is. I just need to put it in order. When I put it in order, you will see that within it is the solution of what is this. This is the tohu vavohu. In the first day, I don't know if you know, but now you will know. And it's written in the Psukim. I'm not machadesh anything. I'm not saying things that it says. Just read the Psukim right. Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. So that's 2. Shamayim ve'aretz, right? The second pasuk says, ve'haaretz hayta tohu vavohu. Meaning, from those 2, now we concentrated, we focus on the Aretz. Aretz, I said, it's not planet Earth, but the entire physical dimension. והארץ הייתה תוהו ובוהו. וחושך על פני תהום. So picture this. Everything that was created in a darkness. That's what happened. As it appeared. It appeared into a darkness. וחושך על פני תהום. Then the rest. ורוח אלוהים מרחפת על פני המים. Was water. Water was covering everything. Meaning the physical dimension of the creation was not just in darkness, but it was within a water. Water was covering it from all over. Only in the second day, it says, ויאמר אלוקים יהי רקיע בתוך המים. Everything is water. So Hashem says, let's make a divider within the water and separate the lower water from the upper water. יהי רקיע בתוך המים ויהי מבדיל בין מים למים, בין המים שמעל, the water that above and the water that down. And that's in the second day. So the first 2 days of the creation, everything was covered with water. Even in the second day. In the second day was water above, but was water under, and the entire physical creation was within the water under that was covering it. Only in the third day, Hashem says, ייקבעו המים מתחת השמיים אל מקום אחד ותראה היבשה. Meaning until the third day, water was covering everything. Only in the third day, Hashem said to the water, you go to a certain place, stay there, and reveal the dry land. And this is the tohu vavohu. The tohu vavohu, you do not understand anything. Everything is in darkness, under the water. You do not have any access to verify what Hashem wants with this. So you have to wait. When we're going back to the Tana de Eliyahu, Shita al Feshnea ve'alma, 6,000 years the world will exist. Vechad charuv. Says the Gemara, what do you mean vechad charuv? It goes back to before the third day, to tohu vavohu. Tohu vavohu meaning that the water will cover everything, and in this case, no plant or animal or human being could exist. If everything will be covered with water, nothing will exist. So as the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin, at the end of the 6th millennia will be Tchias HaMesim. And people will be revived, meaning the body will rebuild, the neshama will go into it. And then come the 7th millennia. And everything will go watered, everything will be in the water. So what's going to happen with these people that got their physical body rebuilt? There is no way to exist if everything is under the water. The Gemara brings an answer to this. This is the question of the Gemara. What's the answer? The answer is a parable. The Gemara says the following. I'll tell you the words of the Gemara and try to explain. ואותם צדיקים שיש להם, שהם חיו בתחיית המתים, those who are righteous in order to be revived, באותם 1,000 שנים, in those 1,000 years, that the world will be not a place that you could exist in. מה הם עושים? What's going to be with them? Answer the Gemara, Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made for them wings, ושתים על פני המים. And they will swim, hover under the water, above the water, like ducks. Hashem will make them wings. What is the meaning of this? First of all, they're not going to die. Even though the world will not, the universe, the entire creation will not be a place that you could survive physically the way we survive now. But they will not die. How they will not die? HaKadosh Baruch Hu made for them wings. What is wings? What are wings? You know, there are different kinds of animals. There are fish, animals that you know, but there are birds. Birds are physical animals. And they need connection with trees, with grass, with things to eat, right? But they have some benefit that we do not have. They have wings. What's the benefit of the wings? Depend how strong are the wings. They could just disconnect from Earth and stay on air for a while. Depend how strong their wings. But that's what the Gemara bring, that you could exist physically with disconnection from the physical dimension and survive. So if Hashem will make us wings, not physical wings, those wings will be strong enough to hold us above physicality for 1,000 years. Because there is a necessity that this world, the physical world, will go back to Tohu Vavohu. There is a necessity. And therefore, in the 7 millennia, we're gonna exist. And if you want examples, Moshe Rabbeinu, he went to the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights, and he didn't eat. He didn't eat physical food, but he was survived. Eliyahu Hanavi, more than 40 years, 40 days, many years with a body. But there is such a thing that the body could be nurtured from spiritual sources without need to the physical. So that's what's going to happen at the 7th millennium. The last thing is Yom Adin HaGadol VeHaNorah. And again, it should be, all of this must be before the end of the 6th millennium. So after, why Hashem will do Tchiyas HaMeisim? What's the purpose? What's the reason of Tchiyas HaMeisim? Before the end of the 6th millennium. The answer is the big judgment day. It's called here Yom Adin, Judgment Day, HaGadol VeHaNorah. The great judgment day, and Norah meaning the awe. It's a very special day. What's so special about it, and what will be the judge about this? So for those of you who were here last year, but do not really remember what I said, I will repeat. And for sure, for those who never heard that. There are 3 judge days in the world. 3. One happened every year, 6,000 times. It's called Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the judgment day. What are the issues that judged in Rosh Hashanah? This judge day is for people who live in this world now with a body and a soul. Only they judged at this day, Rosh Hashanah. What they judged about? What's going to be with them in the next year? Who will live? Who will die? How this person will gonna live? Happy, not happy, will be rich, will be not rich, all those things. מזונותיו של אדם קצובים לו, the parnasa, the money that we're gonna make. Decided every Rosh Hashanah how much money you will make next year. So this is one Yom Din, one judgment day. Every year Rosh Hashanah, and this day, judgment is for the people who lives in this world, not the people who passed away or never born. The second judge day is individual, at the day that the person finished their life in this world. When a person dies, the neshama separates the body and goes to Kisei HaKavod, goes to the Supreme Court upstairs, Beit Din Shel Mala, and the judge is about this particular person, summarizing what he did, what he accomplished in the last lifetime that he or she has, and where the neshama continue from here. And that, I believe, you learn a little bit about Olam HaNeshamas, meaning the neshama goes not to Olam Haba. Remember, Olam Haba started in the 8th millennia. We are now in the 6th. It means that there is no Olam Haba now. So where the neshama goes after 120? The neshama goes to Olam HaNeshamot. It's a waiting room until Tchias HaMesim. It's not Olam Haba. So the judgment, the second judgment of every person is when they finish their life in this world, where the neshama going to go from now. Could be Gan Eden, could be Gehinom, could be reincarnation, could be Kafakela. There are few possibilities, but this is the judgment. Now the third judgment, the third day of judgment is this one. It will be at the end of the 6th millennia. At the end, that's for sure will be the end thing from all those events. And the judgment will be, this particular person has or doesn't have portion in the world to come. This is Yom Adin HaGadol VaHaNorah. And the portion mean which part? Quality and quantity. In the terms of Olam Haba, the spirituality that we have no clue about. But this is the judgment day. Now, it's connected to the first event. Tchias HaMesim, we ask, what's the purpose of the dead people to be revived, right? The answer is, because they have to be judged, and you could not judge a person without the person there. Therefore, Hashem put the neshama and the body together and decide about them if they have, and what part, what quality, if they have portion in the world to come. This is the meaning of Yom Hashem HaGadol VaHaNorah, and that's going to happen at the end of the 6,000 years. Okay? Let's just finish with a smile. We should be calm down because there is a promise that Kol Yisrael yesh lahem chalek le'olam haba. So the tzaddikim that have a portion in the world to come are every Jew. It's a pasuk in Yeshayahu. Ve'amech kulam tzaddikim. And the people, the Jewish people, each one of them is a tzaddik. And by the way, we have to understand it really. We know few Jews that really doing terrible things. You could say about them anything, but not tzaddikim. They are not tzaddikim. So how Yeshayahu Navi said that? The answer is because all the neshamas of all the Jews was there in Ma'amad Har Sinai. And when Hashem offered us the Torah, we said, Naaseh v'nishma. And at the time when we said that, we really meant it. Therefore, we have a possibility to be a tzaddik. What's a tzaddik? The root of the word are the letter tzaddik dalet kuf, tzedek, justice. Those people, which is only us, because all the nations of the world didn't get the Torah, refused to get it. We got the Torah. What is the Torah? Torah are instructions. Torah li et haderech, show me the way. Instructions for what? How to operate in the right way the most complicated system called body and soul. You need instructions. Without instructions, you have no way to just guess how to operate right your neshama. Now, every person has a neshama. They go into, but they never got the Torah. They never got the instructions. Therefore, they have no possibility to make their entire potential to be actualized. We got the Torah, and when we accept the Torah by Naaseh v'nishma, we are in this category that you could fulfill the entire potential of yourself. And if you fulfill the entire potential, you have a portion of the world to come. So as a general rule, Kol Yisrael yesh lahem chalek le'olam haba. There is a rule on the rules. Every time in Chazal that there is a sentence start with the word kol, kol is a klal. Klal is a general rule. And every rule, this is a rule. Every rule has exceptions. Lekol klal yesh yotze min haklal. And here in the Mishnah that says, Kol Yisrael yesh lahem chalek le'olam haba, sheneimar ve'amer kulam tzadikim le'olam yirshu eretz, etc. It says, ve'elu she'en lahem chalek le'olam haba, even if they're Jewish. So you see that there are exceptions, right? But in general, all Jews has a portion of the world to come. Therefore, we really looking forward that all of these things gonna happen. Okay.
So how about like according to Rambam, right? Rambam, like if you don't believe in certain 13 attributes,
Right.
then you don't have all.
Exactly.
So how do you go with the steer? Like the person doesn't believe in it. Is he going to get into all of our?
The question is, what do you mean do not believe? Anyone who do not accept even one of the 13 principles took himself out of Klal Yisrael, and he's not in this rule that Kol Yisrael Shalem Chelek L'Olam Haba. Wait. Question is, who is in this category? I do not believe. Most of the Jews do not know what they do not believe. In order to be apikoros, you have to know exactly what do you deny, and that's not the case. Many people just ignorant, they have no clue, and they say, it doesn't make sense to me, therefore I don't accept it. But that's not called kfira. Kfira means that you understand completely what that means and deny it. There are very rare people who is in this category. Most of the Jews, they just ignorant, they just bur ve'amei haaretz, they do not know anything between the right and the left. And therefore, I'll give you an example. My wife is major in math. I'm 0 in math. And I'm really mean it. I was raised in Eretz Yisrael. I went to school. From the 1st grade to the 8th grade, I kept be'adikut, and very thorough, the number 4 as a mark in math. Meaning failure. Failure. Because of that, when I got to the high school, no high school will will get me because I'm a failure in math. I had no choice. I went to yeshiva. In Torah, I was good, so I went to yeshiva. So I have no high school education. Of course, I don't have college or university education. Can I say things that people could say? There are mathematicians in the world that say, you know what, Einstein, he was a genius, but his theory about relativity is not complete. I deny his theory. They could say that because they are mathematicians, they know exactly the theory, they could show, it's not complete here and there. What if I will say that? I think Einstein was idiot. Who are you to say it? You do not know how to do simple thing in math. That's the case of most of the Jews about Judaism. They deny. Deny. Of course you deny. You do not know anything. So to be a koifer in a way that will take you from a category of being Jewish, you have to know that what Chazal says, makir et ribono umitkaven limrod bo. I want to rebel after I know what I'm rebelling against. Okay? The other people who do not know, they are still Jews. I don't know. I don't know if there is such a shit about this that it's not make you, but according to the Rambam, it's clear. He said it's clear. If anyone believe in all 13 but one, or even part of the one, he is not considered a Jew.
Right. So basically, all of the people who were from former USSR, who grew up without understanding. So according to him, they're all. Right, but he doesn't really care about it. He says that they do not get all.
Of course, they do not know. It's like you take a baby, a Jewish baby, and raise it in an Indian tribe. So you could not blame him that he doesn't know Judaism. He never was exposed to this.
So according to him, they're never going to they're not going to get Olam Haba.
Why? I just said the opposite.
Right.
In order to lose Olam Haba, you have to know and deny. They do not know. Therefore, the denier, their deny is not significant.
Can I ask one question? What about the Jews who were left behind in Mitzrayim?
Who lived where?
The Jews who were left behind in
Yeah, everyone left.
So they were.
Everyone left. Mitzrayim. Oh, those who died in Mitzrayim. No. So what's the question?
Were they still Jewish?
No. No, to be Jewish, actually, you have to be in Mamad or Sinai. And they were not in Mamad or Sinai. Okay, so that's what we could cover now.
Is
Oh.
there a difference between a Jew who knows and denies, or a Jew who doesn't deny but says, let's say, I don't want Mashiach to come?
Say that they do not want Mashiach?
Yeah.
Question if they know what Mashiach is. Again, they denying or they refusing to accept, but from a reason. And most of the cases, the reason they have no clue what Mashiach is. Mashiach is, I'll tell you,
They say, I don't want my life to change. I like my life like this. I don't
you
want
want it very much to change.
what?
You want it very much to change. Because we are suffering so many problems. When Mashiach will come, all these problems will be disappeared. So no sane person will say, I do not want Mashiach. When Mashiach will come, after the Geula, will be no more sickness in the world. This person is guaranteed that he will be wealthy and healthy to 120? No.
So you're saying somebody who says, I don't want Mashiach,
He doesn't know what he's
they don't
denying.
even know what it means.
Exactly.
So it's in the same category as
Right.
somebody who denies but is
Mhm.
But I heard people say it's not that they do not want Mashiach, it's the times before Mashiach are very scary.
Yeah, because, it will be Chavlei Mashiach. It's a delivery. You deliver without epidural, it's painful. Right? So they want to skip this. Fine, that's a different story. Okay, yeah.
I just want to, when you say you know it, but you deny it, I mean, do we really know? Like, I heard your share. I'm not sure I've been penetrated.
I told you that each one of those things need a whole, at least 2 hours here to explain this.
So we don't, now we think we know, but we actually probably very likely.
Yeah, of course, we do not know. We will never be able to know it completely until it's happened and we experience it. But we should know more. We could know a lot more about what Chiyas HaMesim is, what Mashiach is. And only after you know at least the basic and deny it, you are not, or the people who do not accept are not considered heresy, kofrim.
Ultimately, there's no real possibility or risk to be a kofar from
There is. It's very rare. You have to be a real Talmid Chacham.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Therefore, it's rare. Okay. So that's what we covered now.